Hey YouTube, it's Marita from the Nurse Lounge, and today I am actually headed to the gym, but I wanted to get this video out to you all because I felt like it was very important to me. And in light of what's been going on, I wanted to kind of talk to you about nurse bullying and nurses eating their young and the comment that senator made in Washington State. So if you want to see what I'm talking about, stay tuned. All right, so we are back. So again, I'm headed to the gym here soon, so I want to get this video out, but that's why I look like this. No makeup today. This is just me in rare form. When I'm headed to the gym, I look pretty basic. So anyway, what this video is basically about the statement that the senator made in Washington, and basically how that carries on into nurse bullying and nurses eating their young. So you may feel like, well, what does one have to do with the other? Well, directly, nothing, but indirectly, everything. So if you think about it from this perspective, what was said, if you're not aware, was that not taking out of context, but what she basically said was, from what she understands, that nurses don't really need breaks because in some of these small rural community hospitals that or clinics or whatever, I think hospitals is what she said, that they have plenty of time because the volume of patients that they have, and I'm paraphrasing here, is down. So therefore they have plenty of time to play cards most of the day. Again, paraphrasing, that's not exactly what she said. And so of course, nurses all over took to that and it's like, okay, no, that's not what our job is. We don't play cards all day. And I don't frankly know what nurse actually has time to do that majority of the time. Now, to her defense, very small defense, but to her defense, there are some days for me even, and I'm sure it happens from time to time on some units, where you do have a low census day. But I can guarantee you, well, no, I can't guarantee you because I'm not everywhere, but I can attest to that nurses don't in general have time to play anything all day long. You know, we don't get those kind of breaks. We definitely have to, sometimes we don't have time to eat. Sometimes we don't have time to go to the bathroom. Sometimes we don't have time to do anything. And then there are the days that we can, or at least for me, the days that I can do something else, I need to get caught up on my advanced stream or my advanced learning and health stream modules that I'm always behind on. And those, take time as well. So we always have something to do when it comes to working in a hospital setting. So I don't know kind of where she's coming from in general. Again, in some small places it may be like that, but for the most part, for majority of the nurses, the 3.9 million nurses that are in the United States that are licensed at the moment, we all are working, and we're working very, very hard to make sure the patients are taken care of. So that's kind of why I said it's not directly, because what she's basically doing is, once again, we are getting bashed from the outside. And with the nurse bullying, we do that on the inside. So we do that to ourselves anyway. We don't need any help with that. So therefore, it's also coming from the outside now. So then you have the situation that, is it Joy Beyer or Bear, whatever her name is, made the comment about why are nurses using the doctor's stethoscope, when first of all, the nurse is the one who uses the stethoscope. Doctors do too, but nurses use them majority of the time. Majority of the time, the doctors are coming in the nurse's stethoscope to use to listen to their patients. So I think that's kind of where I'm going with this, where we are placed at the bottom of the totem pole when we actually do the most work. We do the most work. If you took out all 3.9 million nurses, you would not have a healthcare system, period. You wouldn't, because they're the heart of the healthcare system. Nurses do it all. We're their eyes, the ears for the physicians. We make decisions based off of what our assessment skills, what we know, our critical thinking skills are teaching us or telling us. Sometimes it's based off of intuition, it's based off of gut feeling. Sometimes we just know. sometimes we've experienced it thousands of times, so therefore we know what to do. But I guarantee you it's the nurse who's the one who is maintaining this healthcare system. It's not anybody else. And typically I don't chime in on things like this because I just don't get into politics, and she is a politician. I don't get into politics in general, but not on forums. Not that I don't have opinions, I just don't get into them on forums or on social media, things like that. I also don't get into things about religion typically, because those are taboo topics to me. But this one right here, when you start coming for, there's three things that you can't come for with me. And number one is my kids. You come to my kids, you're gonna have to deal with me. When it comes to me, you're gonna have to deal with me. You don't come for me unless I send for you. And then of course, nurses, we half the time don't even like each other. Nurses, a lot of nurses, we don't really like each other. We work together, but we have our own issues within nursing. But I can tell you one thing for sure. My brothers and sisters in nursing, we will come together despite our differences when somebody else attacks us from the outside, because we don't tolerate that by no means. So when they send her all them deck of cards they're going to send her, she going to learn, and she going to learn real quick. So that's all the attention I want to give to her in that situation. Now I want to actually talk about the nurse bullying and nurses eating their young on the inside. So basically what nurses eating their young means is, well, when I was coming out of school, what it meant was the older nurses, experienced nurses, would kind of gang up on or mistreat the new nurses, the new grad. But to me, it actually means, now that I have experience, it really means to me, it doesn't have to necessarily have to be a new nurse, meaning a new grad. Is anybody new to that unit or new to that facility, you are automatically going to be the new kid on the block, so to speak. You're going to be the one who's the outcast. You're going to be the one who is, not part of the clique, so to speak. So those are the ones that they're going to come after. When people don't know you in nursing, and keep in mind it's female dominated, we can be very catty a lot of the times, catty and hormonal a lot of the times. So we have issues with one another for reasons that have nothing to do with being a nurse in general. So I have my note card as I usually do, and I want to stay on track. This may be a long video, so go ahead and get some snacks, take some notes, whatever you want to do. But definitely I want you to hear this out, because I know a lot of people are dealing with this. And when it comes to nurse bullying, we have nurses who are completing suicide, which means they're killing themselves, if you don't know what completing suicide means, because of this issue. We have nurses who not only harming ourselves, we're being harmed by our patients. So you have nurses who are dying, not because of the fact that they became sick. They're dying because patients have killed them. Patients who are mentally inept, or patients who've become enraged, family members who've become enraged, have harmed and hurt nurses and killed nurses. So nurses already feel the attack from the outside, because we're so customer service oriented now, where we're more so about, let's do customer service first, five-star, like a five-star restaurant first, and do healthcare secondary. So nurses feel like we have no clout, so to speak, when it comes to the healthcare delivery system. And sometimes our managers and our administrators do not support us. So we feel like we are attacking ourselves. Or not feel like, we actually are attacking ourselves. When patients come and they yell at us, or they spit at you, or they throw their feces at you, or they do kinds of things like that at you, and you go report it, oh, well, it's always your fault. So when you're already being attacked from the inside, we don't need help on the outside, because we already have problems within ourselves. So why do people do it? Well, people do it for various reasons. Keep in mind, it's a female-dominated profession, and females will definitely, when we have some of our older nurses, if you're young and pretty, we already have something against that. People don't like anything that's young and pretty, because they feel like they're being replaced. Not only, and it just kind of reminds them of where they are in life. When you've been working for 30 years and your back is broke down, your knees is broke down, you've gained weight, things like that, which is true in the normal society, not even just in nursing, people kind of envy that. So when nurses come to me and saying, very upset or crying, like, why are they treating me this way? If you're young and pretty, you're going to catch it. So that's just pretty much how that works. Not that that's an excuse, or not that it's okay, but that's just kind of how nursing works, the nature of nursing. And I've already dealt with all those things. Now, what I will say is, not only that, not that this is right, but when nurses, until they get to know you, they sometimes treat you that way. physicians are no different. I have had so many situations where people want to, say anything that they want to say to you any kind of way. And some of the nurses, they take it and they go and cry about it. Me, on the other hand, I don't take stuff like that because I feel like I will not be disrespected by anyone. We're all adults here. We all here to learn. If we don't know, we can ask someone. And if I don't know, you're not willing to show me, then I'll find somebody else who is. So I feel like we need to be in a place where we're more free to ask questions, but we have people who make us feel so incompetent because of the fact that maybe we don't know something or we don't know how to do something. They kind of do that to us. And so here we go, story time. So it's a situation where I was made to feel very much inferior, very much not like a nurse. So it was January of 2018 that I got floated from my OB unit postpartum. As you know, or some of you know, I'm a postpartum nurse. And I got floated from my unit to a med-surg floor. And we float as techs when we go off the floor because of the fact that we are a closed unit and we are specialized. So therefore we don't float as nurses. So I float as a tech. So when I get to my med-surg, I think it was a med-surg unit, and the patients, a lot of them were ortho. Was it ortho? Whatever. What's the floor when you have bone, like you have hip replacements? I think, is that ortho? Whatever that is, that's what floor I was on, like the rehab type floor. So I go in there to these different rooms and I'm realizing that the trash cans were all tilted to their sides. And some of you med-surg nurses, you may know what I'm talking about, but as a postpartum nurse, I did not know at the time what that meant. So I'm like, what in the hell is all these trash cans turned to their side for? So I'm going through every room, picking up trash cans and putting them back upright because I'm like, okay, why are these rooms so messy like this? Because we don't do that on postpartum. We keep our rooms pretty clean and tidy. Everything's in its place for the most part. And come to find out by the end of the shift, it wasn't until the end of the shift when the nurse comes like, okay, well, what can you do since you can't do anything on our floor? And I said, well, excuse me, but you come to my floor and have somebody hemorrhage and see what you gonna do. When I told her that in that manner, now that it wasn't professional, but the thing is she didn't come to me professional either. Her whole attitude changed because she couldn't come to my floor and do what I do, nor could I do what she do. So let's take this opportunity to learn what each other does or do in your respective roles and just educate me. Just educate me on what you do. So by the end of the day, though, they were very, very nice to me. So it was the same thing. It's the same nurse bullying that goes on anywhere else. It was kind of like, okay, you don't know anything. Why are you, why did they send us you? I mean, it was just last year that I got that. And honestly, at the end of that shift, I was like, okay, you know what? This is going to be my last shift at this hospital. I was going to turn my badge in that day. That's how bad the shift was. But I'm like, I'm not going to let these people run me away from my job. I got kids to take care of. I'm going to school, things like that. So I said, I'm here to learn. If it's something I can help you with, I will help you with it. But you will not make me feel like I'm no less of a nurse because I don't do the kind of nursing that you do. I need to know, why are we turning these trash cans on their sides? And so it was later explained to me that's what they use to elevate the patient's foot. So when they have like a knee replacement or, something going on, they elevate their foot and they prop them on the trash cans. Which explains why every room was like that, but I did not know that. So how am I supposed to know that when we don't do that on our floor? So that's kind of what I'm saying. Like that'll try to make you feel like you're inadequate and you're incompetent when the truth of the matter is you just don't know. The same way they don't know what to do when somebody hemorrhages on our floor. They don't know to do that vigorous fundal massage because they probably haven't did that since nursing school. I haven't heard it since nursing school if they ever did it. So we have to be mindful that everybody does not know what everybody else knows. Let's go ahead and teach and help each other when it comes to that. The next thing I wanted to bring up is what does it mean and how does it make you feel? So basically, when someone is eating their young or bullying you, it makes you feel like you are inadequate, incompetent. It makes you feel inferior. It's condescending. And if you think about having that kind of treatment for a nursing career or even a year into nursing, it will lower your self-esteem. It will have you second guessing yourself. It will have you wondering, is this the profession for you? It will have you considering quitting. You will begin to have symptoms of where you are having headaches before you go to work. You're having stomach issues before you go to work. You have a mild depression before you go to work. So you'll be fine, you know, the days that you have off, but then the day that you have to go, the day before you go back to work, you'll start having these symptoms and they come out of nowhere. And it has nothing to do with you actually being sick. It's physical symptoms that you're having because you are basically grieving the fact that you have to go to this job the next day because they have made you feel so bad about what's going on at that job. You feel like you haven't learned enough. You feel like that you don't know enough. They're telling you you don't know enough. They're treating you any kind of way. They're disrespectful to you. They're calling you names behind your back, or you think it's behind your back until you walk up on them. That's what happened to me once. And so how do you deal with those things? Well, I'm going to tell you what you should do as a nurse, and then I'm going to tell you what I do as a nurse. So those are two different things because I don't want nobody to get fired behind their jobs because of me. So therefore, this is what you should do. So I said, what to do about it. That was my next one. What should you do about it? So when it comes to someone bothering you and mistreating you, first thing for sure is always remain professional with them. This is where I differ, but always remain professional with them and make sure that you are kind of taking notes. Have you a log? You know, basically have you a log of every infraction that you have, whether it be with a physician or whether it be with a nurse or anybody else. Have you a log? You know, basically when you go home or get off that shift, you know, write down, my nose is itching, write down, you know, what happened, the circumstances around it, because you won't remember it later in, you know, a year later when you're ready to quit now, you won't remember what happened. So the details anyway. So write down those details. Number two, definitely go ahead and talk to your nurse manager. That actually should be number one. Talk to your nurse manager about it if they're not the issue. Talk to your nurse manager about the situation that you're having with the nurse that you're having it with or whoever you're having it with. Typically, you should go through the chain of command, which means you will actually go to the person first and say, hey, you know, is there anything that I did wrong to bother you or things like that? That sounds great on paper or in theory, but a lot of the times, these people are not approachable. These people are not approachable to say, hey, is there anything that I did wrong? A lot of times they're treating you so bad that you actually see them and want to go the other direction. So, you know, that is the way to start if you can, by seeing what have I done to offend you? And if it is something that you've done to offend them, then apologize for it. Even if you're not right, even if you're not, wrong, even if you're not wrong, apologize for it and move on. And then, you know, if that doesn't work, then of course you go ahead and take it to the next chain of command. So usually that's the nurse manager. And if he or she's not going to remedy the situation, you just take it on up the chain. Now, the problem with you taking things on up the chain is it may fix the situation, but it's going to have more problems for you on that unit because now you've become the snitch. You've become the person who is, you know, this, that, and the other. So what do you do in that situation? For me personally, I'm always prepared to leave a job. I always remember this. If I have a job, I'm not there to make friends. And this may be hard for some people to, oh, sorry, my allergies are acting up, to understand. When we come into nursing, we come into nursing thinking it's a welcoming profession, and it's not. It is to a certain extent, but then it's not in other situations. And we come in thinking that, and we come in thinking we're going to make new nurse friends and things like that. And you will. Most of my friends are nurses because we share the same common bond of what we kind of go through. But if you think about it, you only have like maybe 4 or 5 true friends. The rest of everybody else is just acquaintances. So I'm not going to work to please anyone. I'm not going to work to make friends with anyone. If we happen to become friends because we have some things in common and you respect me and I respect you, then that's wonderful. That's great. But if not, I'm coming to do a job and I'm going home, point blank, period. That's all it is to it. Now, that means I can cut up with you while we're at work. But at the same time, you know, we're not going out this weekend because we're just not that close. We're not that kind of people. One thing I've learned to do when it comes to nurses is I kind of watch them in action. And I don't mean in nursing action in terms of actually doing their nurse jobs. I watch them when it comes to their interactions with other people. If they come telling you about another nurse, then I guarantee you they're telling another nurse about you. So be mindful that you don't want to share your business with these kinds of people. Those are the people you want to stay away from. If they are complainers, constant complainers, but they don't ever have a solution for anything, that means they're part of the problem. If you're that kind of person where you complain all the time, but you don't have a solution for anything, you're part of the problem. You must have a solution for things in order for things to change or for it to grow. I'm basically saying is don't complain about somebody picking on you or bullying you or mistreating you if you're not going to do anything about it. Again, be ready to leave if you have to leave. That's just kind of how I see it. At a point in my life right now where I have options, I have other options. So like if you're going to jeopardize my license, if you're going to jeopardize my safety, if you're going to make me feel like that I'm inadequate, then, you know, I will do whatever I have to do. I will use a job, and I say use because of the fact that no one is loyal to anyone anymore in nursing, or not nursing, in the world. There's not jobs where you come in at 18 years old and retire at 65 like it used to be. Nowadays, you actually go from job to job to job, learning new experiences, going in different positions, and just kind of, you know, gaining your experience. And so therefore, I usually look at it as an opportunity to learn what I need to learn, and then I move from that situation when I feel like it's a good time for me to move. So I am advising you to definitely, you know, be mindful of who you're surrounding yourself with. Be mindful if it's people that, is it people who are bothering you because you're the new person on the block? Is it because it's time for you to go through an initiation phase? When I say initiation phase, I basically mean that there's just periods of time in which, like I said, doctors and nurses will sit there and treat you so bad. And a lot of times with the doctors specifically, it's because they don't know you and they don't know if they can trust you. And when I say trust, I don't mean trust in a sense of like you're going to lie to them. I mean, they don't know your skill set. They don't know if you are knowledgeable when it comes to that patient population. They don't know what you know. And so I've had plenty of doctors, you know, hang up on me. I've had plenty of doctors. I had this one doctor who, matter of fact, I had to work in nursery one day, and he was asking me something. He called, and I answered the phone, and he was asking me something. And I didn't know the answer to it because I don't normally work, you know, nursery. I work postpartum normally. So he was like, well, maybe you don't understand English, is what he said. And it's like, I was like, you know what? Oh, I understand English perfectly fine. I said, but what you will not be doing is disrespecting me at 6 o'clock in the morning or any other time. I will find somebody who can answer your question. And that's kind of what I said. And, you know, I took that to the nurse manager and said, you know, I don't tolerate that. And if something comes from this, that's where it comes from. So I want to be the first person to tell the nurse manager. That's another thing. Go ahead and tell the nurse managers. That way you have a leg up. So if they decide that they want to go report you, they want to go say something, you know, she has a smart mouth, whatever happens to be, go ahead and get a leg up on that nurse manager and say, hey, this is what's going on. You know, I was this, that was that, and the other. I always do that. I always go ahead and tell the nurse manager exactly what happened. So if something comes from this, that's where it comes from. But I will say that, you know, for the most part, you know, now when he sees me, he's well, at least he'll speak. Oh, I will say that he'll speak. I had another situation who I was 18 months out of school, and I wasn't saying it was per se bully, but he is this particular physician was a bully to all nurses, but nobody would stand up to him. And I was 18 months out of school, and at this point in time, I had been mistreated so bad. So bad that it's kind of like a bad relationship. Once you get through a bad relationship and you decide, okay, I'm not going to deal with this no more. When you stop crying because you spend your whole first year crying, or that's kind of what I did anyway, because people were treating me so bad. I just kind of woke up one day and said, you know what? I'm licensed just like the rest of these people are licensed. I'm here to learn. Nobody is perfect. So why are people treating me this way? So that particular day, what had happened was we had this particular physician had a policy, unwritten, mind you, that you did not take his catheter out until he made rounds to tell you to take his catheters out for his patients. However, his orders did not say that. His orders said to take the catheter out at 6 o'clock in the morning on the first post-op day, which is what I did. So he happened to make his rounds early that morning, and he comes around and says, and I was in orientation at this point in time, and he says, what idiot nurse took my catheter out of my patient without my permission? And so the nurse who I was shadowing, or she was precepting me, orienting me, she said, oh, I'm so sorry. Do not blame her. It's not her fault. I forgot to tell her that's what you like to be done, on and on and on. And I'm like, no, her name was Debbie. I said, no, Debbie, you don't have to defend me. I said, because I followed the idiot doctor's orders. So if the idiot doctor did not want the idiot nurse to take up the Foley, then the order should have stated that. And I simply said that the idiot doctor needs to understand. Now, mind you, he's standing right there in front of me. The idiot doctor needs to understand that you're going to have new grads, you're going to have float nurses, you're going to have travelers, you're going to have all kinds of people who do not know what's in your mind. They only know to go by what the doctor's order says, not by what you tell everybody, and everybody else knows what the new person doesn't know. So I will do what the idiot doctor wants me to do based on what his or her order states. So once I said that, I already knew I was going to be fired. But you know what? I'm like, okay, I'm cool with it because, you know, I finally stood up for myself. And sometimes you just have to stand up for yourself. I didn't get fired. I'm still actually at that same hospital. That happened, like, again, I said 18 months out of school. I'm now going into year 15 of nursing. So I didn't get fired from that job. But I will tell you this, I went straight to the nurse manager with that situation. And I said that he called me an idiot nurse. And this is what I said. And she said, well, we'll see what comes from it, but don't worry about it. You know, that was very rude and disrespectful. And I said, yes, it was. And I said, I'm just not going to tolerate somebody talking to me like that. And I didn't. And I still do not tolerate that. I have another nurse. Me and her are now friends on Facebook, you know, and I don't do friends on Facebook just because we work together at the same hospital. But she treated me so bad when it's the same hospital, same, you know, but it was an L&D nurse this time. And she would just, you know, talk to me any kind of way. She would just kind of curse me out on the phone, giving report. It was a situation, we had a patient coming from the OR, and I was supposed to receive her directly from the OR, and she had refused to give me a report. She said, no, I'm just going to bring her over there. I said, you cannot bring her over here without a report. I don't have time to do that, is what she said. She said, I'm calling from the OR. Now, mind you, if she's calling me from the OR, that means that patient's on the table still. That means that the patient can hear everything that she's saying because she's calling directly from the OR, which the phone is in the room of the OR. So she is basically saying all this stuff, saying, you know, I don't know, you're so incompetent. I don't know why you can't just come get this, or why you can't just accept this patient. I said, no, I'm not going to accept this patient until you give me a report. She hung up on me. She called the nurse manager at home, because it's night shift, and said that I was not going to take this patient, which was a complete lie. The nurse manager calls me and says, you have to take the patient. I said, I didn't say I wasn't going to take the patient. I said I needed a report. And she's refusing to give report. So once she got the whole story, and me and her had our exchange, and, you know, I was at that point where I said, you know what? I can't do anything here, but let me catch you outside. Let me catch you in the streets. Because I was really ready to say what I really need to say to her, but I could not do that and jeopardize my nursing license at the same time. So that's the only thing that keeps me grounded, is the fact that I have children and the fact that I have a nursing license to maintain. But, you know, after that whole blow up that we had back then, and again, that was about maybe 18 to 20 months outside of school when I finished nursing school. And now I'm in year 15, and now we are friends. Sometimes people treat you that way because you allow them to treat you that way. Once they see you not one to mess with, they don't bother you. That doesn't mean they're gonna like you, but they will respect you. And that's kind of what I want. I don't have a need for you to like me, because at the end of the day, I don't care if you like me, but you will respect me. And that's kind of what I'm going for. That's my point in this whole message, is at the end of the day, aim for respect. Do not aim to be liked, because people will not like the truth. People do not like the true you. People like what the trend is. People like, you know, talking behind closed doors. People like when you follow the crowd. And I'm not a follow the crowd kind of person either. I'm not a people pleaser. I do not people please. I follow the policy. So if it's within the policy, sure, you can have whatever you want. We can do whatever you want to do as long as it's within the policy. But I'm not breaking policies to do anything for anyone, because I guarantee you your counterparts over there can do those and break the policies, and nothing will happen to them. You do the same thing, you will be terminated. So be mindful, follow the policies, go through your chain of command, start from the bottom and work your way up. After you do that, keep your log as time goes on. And then honestly, if it continues and you are having symptoms, daily symptoms, nothing is worth your health. Absolutely nothing's worth your health. I dealt with that twice. Nothing is worth your health. And this is too much information, but I'm gonna share it anyway. I had a job that was so bad that I stopped having cycles, menstrual cycles. And I don't miss those for nothing. Besides the times I've been pregnant, I don't miss those for nothing. If I'm stressed, it's coming. If I'm not stressed, it's coming. If I exercise, it's coming. No, nothing matter what happens, it's coming, and it's coming relatively on time. Maybe early or whatever, but it's going to come. The only time it has not come is when, again, pregnancy, or when I had a job that was so bad. When I said stress, I mean normal stress, not like, what I'm talking about now. These people will have you so stressed that your hair is falling out, that your skin is breaking out, that you are having GI symptoms, that you're having headaches, that you may even think you're pregnant because of the fact that you're having pregnancy symptoms, nausea, throwing up. People go through that when they don't like something or when their body is telling them this is not for you. You need to know what is for you and what is not for you. At the end of the day, you have to make a decision on whether you're going to stay and deal with it or whether you're going to leave. And it's just that simple. If you go through the chain of command and you see that they have the good old boy system and they're all in cahoots, you are never going to win that battle. You're not going to win that battle. And even if you go through a certain point in time and you do win and you stay on that same unit, they're going to cause hell for you. You're going to be on eggshells, and nothing is worth your sanity. Nothing is worth any of that. You need to go where you fit in. And I'm not saying where you fit in the sense of like you're part of a clique, but you need to go where people are receptive to something different. So if you happen to be against the grain kind of person, like I'm going to follow policies, I'm going to do this, I'm here to take care of my patient, and that's all I'm here for. When you adopt that mindset that that's what I'm here for, is to take care of my patient, then you will be fine. If you're here for the mindset that I'm here to make friends and I want people to like me, you will be miserable, because everybody is just not going to like you. Nor will you like everybody. So remember that you won't like everybody, nor is everybody going to like you. Sometimes you're too pretty. Sometimes you're too dark. Sometimes you're too light. Sometimes you're too smart. Sometimes you're just different. Sometimes you don't speak the same language. When I mean the same language, meaning that you are maybe what's it called? Ethnocentric? I think that's the word for it. Maybe you're just different in that sense. Maybe you are Christian and you're working in a hospital that's full of people who curse every other word, which I've seen that too, where you have someone who is a devout Christian, they have a certain religion or whatever it happens to be, and you have people who are cursing every other word, and that just doesn't sit right with them. Maybe if you have a situation where you're tatted up, you have tattoos, but you're in a Catholic hospital, which I've seen that before. They're going to have a view of you. I don't have a view. I don't care what you look like or what kind of tattoos you have. We're here to do a common good and take care of our patients. But some people care about that. I have nurses that I work with currently that if they find out you as a patient had your babies out of wedlock, they treat that patient differently. Or if you're the nurse who had your babies out of wedlock, which I had, a couple of them that way, a few of them that way. Not planned, of course, but that is just how my life was. I just had them that way. They were like, oh my God, you're going to go to hell, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, so are you. We'll be there together. I said, because here you are judging me. And those are the people who are religious, but they want to, cast their judgments upon you. I guess we'll be there together then, because yes, I did that. A sin is a sin is a sin. So, and why are we even talking about this at work anyway? We're here to take care of the patient. So if you're pretty, if you're smart, if you are moving, or if you're evolving, even if you're beginning to evolve, meaning that maybe at one point you all were similar, you all had some similar goals and similar ambitions, but then you find yourself wanting to get out of that. You want to advance a little bit. You can't take everybody with you either. They want to either come or they're going to stay. You're going to leave people behind. And sometimes those are people that you worked with all the time. And I had that situation myself where I've worked with people on night shift who now won't even speak to me because of the fact that I'm changing and I'm growing and evolving and wanting to do something a little bit different. I don't want to be a bedside nurse the rest of my life. So I have that. Is that a form of bullying? No, not directly, but I guarantee you I get the hardest assignments when I do work. I guarantee you they will do things like, oh, well, I had this patient 2 days in a row, and so therefore they will try to give me all the fresh patients. And I'm like, nuh-uh, we're not doing that. I don't care if you had patients for 2 weeks. We're not giving me all the fresh patients while y'all sit down and do nothing. I'm not doing that, and I'm not. And they know that about me. So when I get to work, they're no, okay, she's not gonna tolerate that. But then the next nurse who comes in, who they also don't care for, they will do her that way. Why? Because she does not speak up for herself. So again, they may not like me, but I don't care. I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here for us to do a job and us to go home. We can kick it at work, but I'm going to kick it at home by myself, not with you all anyway. Hopefully that makes sense to some of you all. I know this doesn't, this is talking about, nurse bullying, why they do it, how we need to come together. And in addition to that, how to deal with it in your current situation. So, or in your future situation. Because I guarantee you, you're going to be an outcast somewhere. Somewhere you're going to be an outcast in some aspect. You're going to be different. You're going to be against the grain. Something's going to be different about you that people are not going to like. You're going to be that person that everybody loved at one point in time, but then when you get to a new area, new facility, new whatever, it's different. And I had that situation when I moved from Tennessee to Texas. Tennesseans and Texans are a lot different. And I had some nurses who were in Texas. Now, I'm not saying all Texans are like that, because I'm sure they're not. I'm sure I actually met some very nice Texans who were nurses, but they're different over in Texas than they are here in the South. I'm in Tennessee, we're in the South. So we speak to everybody. We say hi to everybody. There's people I have conversations with that my kids are like, did you know them? Like, nope, didn't know them at all. But we stood there talking for 20 minutes like we knew each other. That's kind of how it is in the South. People up north don't do that. People in Texas don't do as much of that. They're still kind of the South. They don't do as much of that. So you have to know that people are coming from all walks of life. People are coming from all areas of the United States and around the world. And we're coming for the common good to help our patients, hopefully. And we're trying to backstab one another, then we begin to have those difficulties with getting along and trusting one another. So just understand we all come from different places. Understand that we are all going through something different. There is nobody on any nurse who is going. We have nurses who are so poor. You all think nurses make a lot of money. If you actually talk to some of these people and realize why they act the way they act, half the time they got something going on at home that's so bad that they're just taking it out on you. You're just the person who catches it. Or maybe you just got newly married, or you just bought a new house, or you just had a new baby, and maybe they've been wanting to have a baby and they can't, and they take it out on you. So every time that somebody treats you bad, it's not always because of the fact that they hate you. A lot of times it has something to do with themselves and to projecting it onto you. And I try to remember that when I'm dealing with people who are negative people, that sometimes it has nothing to do with me at all. I'm just the one who's catching it. And I have to respectfully put them in their place. You stay in your lane, there's no traffic. And I tell them, I'm not going to tolerate you disrespecting me. You're not going to talk to me any kind of way. And once they learn that about you, they'll leave you alone. And if they don't leave you alone, again, you have some decisions to make. And that's going to be up to you. So hopefully you have found this video informative, enlightening, informative, enlightening. And hopefully, this helps someone. It's not going to help everyone, because everybody's in a different situation when it comes to this. People don't know how to deal with certain situations or whatever. You have to be in a mindset to say, I'm not going to tolerate disrespect. If you're not there in that mindset yet, then you're just going to have to wait till you grow into that mindset. Because no one can change. You can't change how other people act, but you can change how people treat you. And you can change what you tolerate. And you can make a decision about what you're going to do about it in a respectful, professional manner. Again, if people are not going to treat you fairly, not going to treat you right, you have a decision to make. It's not up to them. You make decisions for you. They make decisions for them. But what I said was, I do not tolerate disrespect from anyone. A doctor is not above me. We are actually partners, if you think about it. We have two different scopes of practice. Do not be intimidated by physicians, because why? Well, actually, we all are intimidated by physicians. Sometimes we're intimidated by their intelligence. I have one physician that I work with. He is so smart, and he will sit there and explain things to you, and he's been unspoke you out, and you have no idea what he said, because and he don't use curse words. He will say things to you so intelligent. You're like, what did he just say? And he will make you feel like you're this big. And I've experienced that with him several times. But then I've learned to let me just talk to him and see what I ask him, I actually kind of stroke his ego, and I'll say, hey, tell me about this. What you know about this? And he's like, oh, let me tell you. I just learned how to deal with people. I learn what they like, and I just kind of go from there. That's how I learned how to deal with people. But he also knows I won't tolerate any BS either. So with him, I'm like, okay, you know what? This is a doctor where I know he's going to want to know everything about this patient. When I call him, let me go ahead and have all my information together about this patient. as much as I can. If I don't know, then I don't know, and I'll find out for him. But he kind of knows that, and I know that about him. So sometimes people are intimidated by you because of your intelligence, not because of anything else that you did to them. And they can't stand the fact that you are so smart, so much smarter than they are. Or they can't stand the fact that you understand things better than they understand things. They can't understand how you come in here 1 year and out of school, and they've been doing this job for 10 years, and you know more than they know. That's just how it works. Just make the decision that either I'm going to teach you something, you're going to teach me something, or we're both going to move on. And it is what it is. So anyway, I've kind of, said this long enough. It's been over 30 minutes for this video. I appreciate you watching to the end if you did. If you please don't mind subscribing to this channel. Hit the notification bell so you know the next time I upload a video. At the very top, you'll see 2 icons for IG. One is my plus size fitness, makeup, hair, beauty page, and the other is my melanin_RN_MPN, which is my nurse page. Subscribe to both or follow me over there on both if you like those types of things. This is primarily a nursing channel. However, I do dive into fitness, which is where I'm about to go now, to the gym. I do fitness, I do plus size fashion, makeup, beauty, all those types of things. So if you happen to like that and nursing, then definitely subscribe to this channel. If you just like the nursing, still subscribe. You'll just find, what you need in the nursing, the nursing realm. But outside of that, if you have any questions or concerns, or you want to know more about what I do as a postpartum nurse or OB nurse, or I am a nurse educator as well. So if you want to know what I do as a nurse educator, or if you just have general nursing questions, please leave those below, or you can email me. My email is in the link. Any questions you may have, I'll create a video for you with questions, and that way I can answer your questions for you. Anyway, until the next time, you all take care. Bye-bye.